Okay, all right. Let's see if this works. I say that every time we stream, but it's always true because I never know how it works. Let's see. Hi, folks. Welcome to the end of the month hangout. Last time we did one of these, I was like, oh, I'm gonna finish the video like in a week, and here we are. Well, first of all, I haven't made a video in a while, and I am very sorry about that. But it is coming along. It is trucking along, slowly but surely. I am actually making progress, so it will come soon. Even though I have no excuse for why it's taking so long. I hate it. I beat myself up over it more than anyone else, legitimately. But I do think that it's going to get better after that. I think I need a bit of a new work routine now that I'm on ADHD medication. Who knows? I don't know how to work now. My whole schedule has been planned around not being able to work, and now I'm able to work, and now I work too much. And if I work too much, it turns out nothing actually gets done. But hello, we're still gonna do these streams because obviously, because I like it. And we are going to talk a little bit about the month that has been, the month that's coming up, and just hanging out, just a little bit of a status update for like a vibe check for the channel and for you and for how everything's going. So I'm not sure if it was last time or the time before that when we did like a small analysis of the creator or the community survey that I did. But it's still available. It's still getting like replies to it, and it's hopefully gonna get a few more once my next video is gonna come out. And it will come out it will come out very soon because one of the reasons why it's been delayed is because over the summer I decided to be like, okay, well, I'm going to not have a sponsor for like a little bit so I can take my time with a video. And it turns out that when I don't have like a set hard deadline, it's really difficult for me to limit the scope of my videos. However, I do have a sponsor now lined up for October. And initially I was planning to have that for a video that's going to be done after this one. But now it's so delayed. So now I might as well just have this sponsor with this video. So it for sure 100% like 1000% will be done because otherwise the sponsor's gonna get mad at me. And getting like an angry text message from people who work at like real companies being like, hey, where's the thing you promised to make? You owe us money. The threat of that is so real that it might kick me into actually working. Scope creep, yes, yes, usually I can make a video that's like an hour long, no problem. And now this video is like looking to be over 3 hours long because I can't contain myself thanks to the medication. However, we're streaming, as I said. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're keeping well now that we're entering October, the spooky season. I'm keeping reasonably well. Doing a lot of work, trying to keep up with both the video work and also like other work that's happening, like partially like me being a politician, that's not really important, but also like there's budget things for the video, there's like legal shit that's happening. I gotta do taxes for this fucking YouTube channel now, which is bullshit. But we're not talking about any of that today because today we might talk about some of it if you have questions, which you're more than willing to ask. But today I'm eating a cheese platter. Welcome to mukbang. I realized I started doing this on streams now where I just eat. I blame the medication because I forget to eat until like right now. So the way this works is you can ask me a bunch of questions if you would like. I'll try to answer them if you type them out in the YouTube chat window space area. And yeah, as I said earlier, I'll talk about the month that has been and the month that's coming up. So, talking about the month that has been. Obviously, there hasn't been a video yet. Still no video. Still no fucking video coming out. And the thing that sucks about being a YouTuber, right, is that like you can do a bunch of work, but none of it actually like matters until you upload a video. You know what I mean? Like you can't see the work that I'm doing until it's done, and I hate it. But I am hoping that like that progress there is going to become more visible starting next week, because next week there's a few milestones that are going to be like completed and done, and I can start showing you some behind the scenes pictures, and then I can show you some other pictures that I'm also taking, because I'm doing like other channel related work that's not really related to a YouTube video, but like that's just like branding, because I'm a brand now. I don't know what the fuck that means. And also I'm gonna be happy to show you that, and that's also happening next week. So next week, like a lot of shit is actually happening, which I'm very much looking forward to, because it's been like several months now of like nothing. So I'm very much looking forward to actually having some progress. And then, funnily enough, talking about the month that's coming up, actually, I've been talking about the month that has been, but now I'm just talking about the month that's coming up, because all of this stuff is happening next week. I'll talk about the month that has been later. I'm switching it around. There are no rules, fuck it. So, other things that are happening in the month that's coming up is that partially my next video is gonna be out in October, like for sure. It's guaranteed. I think I even have the release date ready. Let me check the release date. My next video is going to come out because I know the date is coming out at last. My next video is gonna be out on October Friday, the 27th. That's gonna be great, right? And then, like almost immediately afterwards, in November, maybe mid-November, depending on like how fast I manage to work then too. Then my next video is gonna come out like immediately after, so there won't be this like massive delay between this video and the next one. It's gonna be like this one is gonna come out and then like boom, another one immediately after. And the reason for this is because the video that's gonna come out after this one is about a topic that some of you have already asked a few questions about in the chat. And also one that I've been working with, a video that I've been working on for a year now. Like it's been like on and off kind of work on that. And that means there's much less work for me to do sort of like the last week of production, even though of course there's going to be a lot. So there's going to be like, the time delay is going to be so much reduced. For those of you who don't know, my next video is going to be about economics and monetary policy, which is weirdly actually more relevant for me right now, because I'm doing a budget for the municipality where I'm a politician, which is very fun. And then the video that's gonna come out in November is going to be about my career in politics, like getting elected and my thoughts on electoralism, because every fucking election there's always like hot takes about like, do elections work? Is it worth it? Like, should we vote or not? And considering I'm like an elected politician, I think I have some good takes on here on that, so that's gonna be fun. But with that said, I've been rambling now like incoherently for 15 minutes. Can you tell I'm on medication? We are going to I'm gonna talk a little bit about I'm gonna reply to some chat questions. So if you have any, feel free to drop some. And then I'll talk a little bit about the month that has been. And then, I don't know, then we just hang out, I guess. If you have any questions about, like, the video, potentially, or anything like that, like, feel free to do that, because, like, I'm now that I know the release date of this video, at long last, it's finally, like, actually, like, solidified. I can start hyping it up, which I kind of want to do, because it's quite possibly my biggest video ever, which I'm so excited about. Scope creep. Again, like you can tell that my medication is like, fuck yeah. Lorne's World asks, I wanted to ask about your political career. Last stream you said your party shares the seat, so you will not be working as a council member next year, if I understood correctly. So will you want to pursue politics further? Interesting question, thank you very much. So technically, right, okay, this is something I'm actually going to cover in the video that's going to come out in November. In a bit more detail, because like there's the Swedish political system is a bit different than the American one, and there are like multiple levels where you can still be elected after the election happens. So it's representational politics is interesting. So I will still technically be a council member, but I won't be in the position where I'm expected to do part-time work for it, because right now the position that I'm in expects me to do 50% of a regular work week, and that's how I distribute my time between YouTube and politics. And sometimes it's a bit difficult to like properly like split those up, because some weeks a lot of stuff happens in politics and I gotta do that, and then sometimes I have like other stuff that I need to do regarding like YouTube stuff, and then I do that instead. So the time becomes a bit here and there. And the seat that I'm sharing, and the fact that I'm expected to work 50% entitles me to a paycheck. And it's not a ton of money. I earn more money on sponsors and making YouTube videos than being a politician. So if I really wanted money, I probably should have gone whole hog into YouTube than get a second job. But you know, live and learn. And that position is paid, right? But you can still basically have that position and go to the same meetings and have the same political voting power as basically any other council member, but without getting the paycheck. The paycheck, because the paycheck is only there to encourage elected officials to work in the office and not to just show up like one time a month to vote without really being like knowledgeable about the issues. So the paycheck is there to sort of like, you should quit your job or like have a part-time job so that you can like focus more on politics. That's why the paycheck is there. You can argue whether or not that's a good system or not. I was not in charge of the payment system, but that's how it is. So in a year, right, because I've been in the position a year right now, and a full term is 4 years. In a year, I will be resigning that paid position and be giving that to the environmental party, because me and the environmental party shared that paid seat. And there is technically one type of meeting that I won't be able to go to anymore because of that, because it's a rank thing. So technically I would be going down one rank, but it's not the most important rank in the world, so it's not that big of a deal. The big deal is that like now I won't be able to spend a lot of time at the office because the lost income means I have to work more on YouTube, which means less time for, you know, party politics. So that's kind of how that system works. I'm gonna be like illustrating this in the video with like images and like illustrations so it becomes a bit more like visually understandable. So, and to answer then the second question, I don't think that I'm gonna pursue politics further. I don't think that I would. Just because I think I prefer making YouTube videos. I think I really wanted to like be engaged in like real life politics and get an insight into how it works. But me ending up in the position that I'm at right now was, I kind of failed upwards into this position, and I'm not really sure if I want to keep doing that. Because I much prefer making YouTube videos, and I've noticed that like I thought I could balance like YouTube and politics a lot better than I ended up doing, as evidenced by the fact that I haven't made a video in multiple months now. Like I would really like to focus more on making YouTube videos, especially now that I'm medicated, because now I feel like maybe I can actually make a good proper career out of being a YouTuber now that I know that I have ADD and I can actually like treat it, which I didn't know when I started politics. Back then I was like, oh, I'm just like a bit lazy, and YouTube, I guess I'm just kind of lazy, and therefore I'm not as good as other YouTubers. No, I had ADD, but now I'm medicated, so my power will be gigantic. Yes. So I don't think I would want to pursue politics further, because I'm basically I'm one of the lowest ranking politicians like that you can be while still being like a working politician that has to go to the office. So if I pursued politics further, that would take so much time. Like, how I would not be able to do that. I do know, however, that some people have sort of like they've speculated about me potentially wanting to join parliament, like the national Swedish parliament, but I don't want to. Like, I don't think I would want to, unfortunately. But who's to say? If the party approaches me and they're like, hey, we would like you to be our spokesperson on, like, I don't know, like drug liberalization policy or something like that, and you can have that position if you join like the parliament, and also the parliament doesn't require you to do that amount of work because you would not be in a leadership position, so blah blah blah. Like, if those things happened, maybe, quite possibly. Like, I don't want to speculate too much, but like as it stands right now, I think I prefer doing YouTube full time if possible. But again, anything can happen. Like, I didn't expect to end up where I am right now, so who knows? No supreme leader position. I can still be supreme leader. I just prefer. Listen, okay. Here's the plan. I make YouTube videos. I sell YouTube shows to Standard, and Nebulous, and they pay me millions and millions of dollars to do that, and I become super rich and successful. I take that money and buy a series of Caribbean islands, and I then become the de facto supreme leader of the small island state of Moldavia. That's how you do it. The girl I have an unreciprocated crush on is moving back to the Netherlands. No. No. I'm very sorry. 1 to 10 meds going? I don't know what that means. Like, if they're hitting today? I don't take my meds on the weekend anymore. I'm still sort of like in the phase of how do you say? I'm in the I'm in this. I'm still in the phase of like my medication to figure out like how to take it most effectively. Because my doctor initially was like, you should take a dose in the morning and you take another dose at lunch. But then I couldn't sleep, so then I stopped taking my afternoon dose. But then I didn't have a lot of energy, and then blah blah blah. So like I don't take my meds in the weekend anymore. But there is still like an ongoing like positive effect, which is why I'm still like kind of energetic, even if I haven't taken it like today or yesterday. But usually like they've started to get a lot better. I've started eating a lot of protein, more protein now, and I think that that's something good. I heard a lot of people in the Vyvanse community be like, you need to eat eggs. Eat eggs. If you eat eggs, if you have an egg for breakfast every now and then, the meds are gonna work. And I'm like, that's stupid. And then I started eating eggs, and now the meds work really well. So I guess eggs. I guess eggs are like a fundamental component of successful Vyvanse medication. Who knew? What ADHD meds are you on right now? I'm on okay, so it's called Elvance in Europe, but it's called Vyvanse in America. I just call it Vyvanse. I just call it Vyvanse because that's the most commonly used term for it online. But it's called like lisdexamphetamine something like that. It's you know, but it's the meth kind. It's Vyvanse, and it's fun. I love it. Legitimately one of the best medications I've ever been on in my entire life. Like I have, if you've seen my video on psychology and psychiatry and why it may be fake, you know that I have a very, very strong distrust of like the psychiatric institutions. So, and like medications in general that have to do with the mind. But this, chef's kiss. Like it was wonderful, delicious. I love it. It's now that I'm starting to figure out like what I need for it to work properly, like more protein for breakfast, proper sleep, no afternoon dose, because why the fuck would I take it in the afternoon? Then of course I'm not gonna sleep. Having those like measures in place, like now it's starting to like really work almost every single time that I take it. In the beginning it was like it would work great, and then I would have trouble sleeping, and then it wouldn't work as well anymore, and then it would just like make me a mess. And it took like a month for me to even figure that out. Also, another reason why the video is delayed, because it turns out that taking actual meth as a medication tends to like disturb your work rhythm a little bit. But yeah, now I'm on Vyvanse, and it kicks ass. It's wonderful. I love it. Ooh, it's my birthday. Oh, it's not my birthday. It's Thomas' birthday. Happy birthday, Thomas. Have you seen the new philosophy tube video? Thoughts? I have not. I haven't, and I don't really watch videos on Nebula, and I know I should, because I'm on it and I advertise it, and I do think it's a good like streaming platform, but it's it's not my type of jam. Personally, I'll probably see when it reaches YouTube, like general. But I haven't seen it yet. I don't even know what it's about. But it's probably good. Didn't know you had a monthly live. Can't stay for this one, but I'll be here next time. Wonderful. I'll look forward to seeing you. Excited for your next video. I'm also very excited. This thing has been rattling around my brain now for months. And also my computer, because it's gigantic. It's like the video files and the audio files and the scripts and the stock footage. Like there's so much stuff that I just need to compile into this video. So that's gonna be fun next 2 weeks when I do like the editing for this one. Palestine-Israel situation. Well, first of all, I'm a YouTuber, and as a YouTuber, I don't think that I should be your first source of takes when it comes to like a very severe geopolitical situation. Even in my role as a politician, like I'm a municipal councillor in like a Stockholm suburb region, I don't have a lot of takes there, or like knowledgeable takes about that thing. But I will say that obviously violence is bad, war is bad, and that the best way for like a constructive solution forward is, in my opinion, a massive like de-escalation of the occupation and apartheid system that is currently being conducted by the Israeli government in the long term. Even though, of course, now in the short term, doing violence is bad in general. So don't do that. War is bad. But again, dear God, like people, like I'm a YouTuber, like I am not the type of person that you need takes from on this, because like no matter what takes I would have, they're not good, because like I'm not knowledgeable in this subject. So I hope that you understand sort of my hesitancy there to comment on a very hot topic issue that's like ongoing. It's Jover. Yeah, trust the plan. Trust the plan. Trust the plan. That's what I mean. Get the hell out of my way, said by John Galt as the leaders of the country tried to make him become their dictator. Swedish colonial empire is so back. No. Absolutely not. I would never do a colonialism. If we're buying islands, they're uninhabited. Or I guess that's imperialism. Who cares? Still, whatever. I have a political question. Max Weber said that once a country reached bureaucracy, we couldn't hope much changes unless something surprising happened. So just said that once country reached bureaucracy, we couldn't hope much changes unless something surprising happened. Yeah, I don't really see a question, unfortunately. Sorry. I'm also not sure I agree necessarily with the statement. I think bureaucracy, a lot of people see bureaucracy and they think that, oh, this is everything now. We are just like doing a lot of red tape forever and ever and ever. But I don't think that that's true. I think we just see like modern day bureaucracy as like always being much more severe than like older bureaucracy. But like we've had bureaucracy since civilizations have existed. There's been bureaucracy like since the dawn of agriculture, and things have happened very quickly occasionally. Like we have had a lot of things happen despite a lot of bureaucracy. It's just that we don't really think of a lot of like historical like administration work as using bureaucracy, like even though of course we should. Like when you see like clay tablets that are inscribed with like copper ore quality and complaining about like some salesman who's not doing a good work, or when you look at Roman bread loaves that are printed with this like a seal of like a bread inspection agency to make sure that like all the bread is like made under proper standards, that's all bureaucracy, baby. But we don't think about it as being bureaucracy, because you think bureaucracy and you're like, oh yeah, the tax office. Even though like those institutions have existed in one form or another since for as long as there has been people. So I don't necessarily agree. Ooh, Vyvanse. Yes. I always hear you say you're eating live ants and wondered about them. Oh, Vyvanse, live ants. Oh yes. No, I'm Vyvanse, not live ants. Between Vyvanse and Evicchio? I don't know what Evicchio is. I think Vyvanse better than egg allergy. Damn. But I just saw protein, like not necessarily eggs, but like protein. Generally like more protein for breakfast. Good idea. Ever since Nebula became an app on my TV, I've been watching it so much more often. I think that they've done a great job as like trying to make it more of a mainstream app and not just like a quirky little YouTube network thing, but like an actual like good and proper app to use, which I quite like. I do wish we had like more collaboration with like places like Dropout, but what are you gonna do? Did you eat candy below? I didn't. I did not. I did not eat it. I did not. Gigantic. Stop bullying my Swedish. I also pronounce yogurt as okay. Sometimes I mix these ones up because it's either yogurt or yogurt. Yogurt. Like the J/Y sounds are very difficult for me to like to split up because I'm Swedish. Gashan asked if I would like to see a single-state solution or a Swiss canton-like solution to the Israel-Palestine conflict. Again, like this is not my field to dive into. Like, I think, yeah, no comment. Pronounce Weber. Very good. Nazir. He didn't get to see the rise of totalitarian governments and the fanatically proactive pursuit of massive projects. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get that. You could argue that a totalitarian government with a dictator would still be in the charismatic leadership phase of government. Yeah, but you could say that about like all sorts. You could say that about today about many governments. Like this is one thing that I really like about this current video that I'm still making. Because I've been reading a lot of David Graeber, because Graeber very much, Graeber is very much like opposed to this idea of states and nationhood as being like on like a progressive line of development. So the idea that like a society is one way and then it transitions into a more modern society and then transitions to a more modern society. With a few defining traits associated with them, and going from basically being like primitive to civilized societies, and he's very much against that idea, and argues that like the way that we have structured or viewed that society is just a way for us to view our own societies as being the most advanced ones, even though there have been many other societies. And we just assume that our civilization naturally had to evolve to become the way it is, whereas he argues that many other societies have had the opportunity to design a society that is similar to ours in its social dynamics, but have actively chosen not to. And I think that that is something. I think that that is something that is somewhat like analogous to that situation as well. That like a bureaucratic like state of being of a nation is something that I think like maybe a nation state can achieve, but it's also something that a nation state can like very easily just dissuade itself of. Um, and it's not, and that doesn't necessarily mean that like there's any form of regression or that there's some sort of like backsliding in the sort of like in the development points of a nation state, but rather just that the thing that happens is the thing that happens, that people forsake a certain type of statehood for another type of statehood or society. And I think that that is a lot more nuanced than, for example, like a very sort of descriptivist view of or prescriptivist view of like how a society quote unquote like should evolve as. Just different, yeah. Gigantic. How do you say that then? Gigantic? Is that how you say it? Gigantic? Or not gigantic? Gigantic. Gigantic. Okay. Yogurt? Oh, Jesus. So many yogurts. Oh! Hello! Thank you, Daniel Wall. Thank you. Hi. Thank you for your first ever super chat. I very much appreciate it. God bless. Used. Jesus. Any tips for a fellow trans femme, as I will be starting HRT next month? What can I expect? Will I spontaneously combust? Should I take time off? Ooh, fun question. It's been a while since I started HRT. Like, it's been over a decade for me, so I don't know. I don't remember a lot of this shit. You're not going to spontaneously combust. I didn't need to take time off, but I think it might depend a little bit on the job that you do and the medication that you take. But I didn't need to take time off. I was fine. It is a gradual process. And I think what you can expect is basically like you can expect a few things, but you can't expect everything. Super quick, at least. We said a little bit like earlier in the chat, like trust the process. Trusting the process is definitely part of HRT because it can take a long time, and I know that a lot of people, they will see a lot of like initial change first, like the first couple of weeks. Like they'll notice things like they smell different, or they their skin becomes oilier in a different way, and their hair becomes oilier in a different way, because those things are very much regulated by your hormones. But things like fat redistribution and things of that nature, which have a much more like long-term like look to it, that takes a bit of a long-term time to kick in, and also have to do with things like diet and exercise to if you want to like speed up that process. I know that some people on TikTok are like arguing about like I know some younger trans femmes on TikTok are like saying that you can hit the HRT wall, that like, oh, you'll see changes for like a few months, and then it's just gonna stop, and then unless you like do massive exercise or you completely change your diet and starve yourself and then like eat a bunch to sort of like completely rebuild your body weight wise, then you're not gonna see any difference, which is bullshit and sounds extraordinarily unhealthy. So like don't listen to anyone on fucking TikTok for HRT advice. would be my thing, because people on TikTok are fucking stupid when it comes to HRT advice. I would say just let it take time. Don't forget your dose. Be regular with it, and enjoy the changes you see. And if you don't see the changes, and if you don't see every change you want to see, trust the process and wait, because it takes a lot of things take a long time for them to kick in. Yeah. And be kind. A lot of people are kind of assholes about, like, fucking. I get pissed off about, like, trans TikTok occasionally, because people will say some weird shit. But I hope that that's good advice, or like good tips. Yeah. I would suggest eating snacks. Eat more snacks, because it's going to taste better. And if you want to encourage fat redistribution to, like, have a softer appearance or whatever the fuck you want to do, if you eat a bit more, that's always good. Estrogen loves food. It's a very typical advice. I haven't read the Dawn of Everything. Does Graeber cite pure classic society against the state? Sounds like a very similar argument. I think he might mention it, but he mentions a few other. He mentions a few other people, because it's not really the focus point of his argument, at least in the parts that I'm referencing. He just kind of takes it for granted that the idea of, like, deterministic outcomes for societal development are bullshit, and that it's bullshit, and gives advice of, like, a lot of indigenous societies who have actively chosen to shape their societies in a certain way that is different from European societies, and that is not because they are more primitive, but because they have chosen to have that kind of society. And that there are benefits to potentially having a society like that, or social structures like that, that are in fact better than European society. And most of it, it's, how do you say? Most of the time, it's, he does the comparison of like North American colonialism, like during the 1600s, when, like, the British and French empires are interacting with a lot of, like, indigenous communities in North America, and there is, like, travel back and forth, and in many cases European society is absolute dog shit compared to a lot of North American indigenous societies, when it comes to, like, quality of life and trust and ideas about freedom and things of that matter, even though Europe obviously probably had the upper hand when it comes to military technology, which is why the world ended up the way it is, unfortunately. It's a great work, though. Like, his The Dawn of Everything is an amazing book because of this, and I'm going to talk about this a lot more in my upcoming video, because it's actually the primary source of that video. Gigantic. I just call it gigantic. Oh, good night also. Good night. I hope you have a gigantic sleep. Are you aware of Metatron praising your Elagabalus video in his last vid? Yes, in fact I was. I have had a few people how do you say, argue, or not argue with me, but, like, let me know about it, which, that's fun. That's great, because I had heard a very fun, how do you say, like, I haven't seen the full video, so I can't say anything really, but I did see the part where he said that, like, most people talking about Elagabalus are not historically accurate, but my video is my video on Elagabalus is actually good, and I like praise, but I don't know that much. I don't know that much more about the video. More than that, so maybe he's a piece of shit, and maybe he's like roasting me in some weird way that I don't really know, but yeah. Let's see. Okay. I saw an Elagabalus coin for sale in Leipzig recently. It was surprisingly affordable. Oh, that's fun. There's a chapter in Society Against the State that contains an interesting account of a member of the Goyanki tribe who we would probably consider a trans woman. Oh, fun. Are immigrants flooding Sweden as right-wingers like to claim? No, it's fine. Like, people talk a lot of shit about what's going on in Sweden. I made a video about it. It's called Sweden, Heaven and Hell. It's old as fuck, but it's one of I really like it. I really like it. Yeah, like Sweden is not being like overrun with immigrants. It's fine. We have had problems with, and continue to have problems with, segregation, because there is massive segregation, because basically white Swedes live in suburbs, and then like there will be a river and rail lines and all sorts of shit, and then there's going to be like a very isolated inner city area of super densely populated apartments, and that's where a lot of immigrants live, because those are the apartments that they can afford. So it's led to issues, but those issues have so much more to do with economic inequality and like segregation than anything else. Because like I've lived most of my adult life in areas that right-wing Americans would call no-go zones, or what the Swedish police would call like areas of special interest, which is basically areas where it's like areas with more crime in it, and those are usually the places where I lived because the rent is affordable. And I've lived like my most of my life in areas like that have been densely populated, in areas that have, you know, some of the more severe issues, and it's fine. Like, it's fucking fine. Like, as a trans woman living in those areas, it's perfectly fine. Yeah. Like, again, I'm not gonna say there's no problem, like, at all, obviously, because like we are currently having a massive violence spike because there's organized crime happening. But the crime that's happening right now is due to a civil war within like a gang. So it's like one big organized criminal network that's having a civil war. And because of that, we're having a lot of like bombings and shootings, but almost all of them have to do with the fact that like there's one faction attacking another faction within the same gang, which has, like, again, much less to do with like immigrants in general, and more to do with like a failed policy on crime, which a lot of governments in Sweden has had for a long time. I would argue, personally, that maybe if we stopped having a war on drugs and maybe the government took, over some of the, took some responsibility for like maybe decriminalizing some of the substances that make up a large portion of gang income, that could undercut a significant portion of organized crime money making. But what's happened instead is that due to privatization by both this government and previous governments, a lot of organized crime organizations now are instead of like selling more drugs, they're making private healthcare companies, because we've privatized so much that you can create a fake healthcare company and then trick people to signing up for that company so that you can scam municipal governments out of tax money. And that's a more lucrative form of income than drugs. Can you imagine how fucked up bad you gotta fuck up privatization and like a liberal market economy to the point where healthcare companies becomes a more attractive option for the mafia than drug sales? You fucked up bad when that happens, and that's happening right now here. Maybe if in like the early 2000s and early 2010s, Swedish drug policy decided to like, oh no, we're not going to, let the gangs grow bigger and bigger by selling like basically weed to people, because the government's gonna do that instead. Take all of that money away from them, and also not sell out the entire welfare state to private interests and make it easier to form fucking healthcare companies, maybe we wouldn't be in the situation we are today. Anyway. Quick rant. Okay, before we continue even more, let's talk about the month that has been, because I don't know what else to say really, but this was a good one. This was a good time rant. So we talked about the month that's coming up. I talked about a few news that are going to come out next week, and they are going to come out next week, guaranteed for sure. The thing that has been happening up until now is that a lot of work to do with the YouTube channel that you unfortunately don't see, but a lot of legal shit. So, for example, very recently I've started the process of trying to reform my company, because I'm technically a corporation, and I'm currently in the process of reforming myself as a corporation, as a legal corporate entity, to like founding a business, and then that business is going to own the channel, and then I own the business while also working as the CEO for that business, which is a lot of like legal economic talk, but that basically means that I'm going to be able to cut my own tax expenses by basically a third, and also have a lot of services that have been unavailable to me before. Things like potentially renting a studio space, which I've been dying to do for years at this point. That has been a really difficult thing to do. And one of the things that's really difficult to do about it is that we have a value added tax here in Sweden that's quite high. And if you're renting a studio space, there's a quite high tax on doing that, unless you're a corporation. But I have been a private legal entity, so if I wanted to rent a studio space, I would basically have to pay like 25% more than anyone else would need to. But now, or soon anyway, when I'm a corporation, I'm going to be able to do that stuff for cheaper. So again, none of this you're actually going to be able to see in any kind of practicality, but like, the channel is being restructured legally also right now, for the benefit of everyone involved, because it's going to lower my costs, it's going to make more services available to me so that I can make more high quality videos, And in the long term, it's going to allow me to potentially hire people. Like instead of just like hiring people for like one-off work, like potentially like as an editor or someone to help me like review a script, and I just like Venmo them some cash. Doing that in the long term, considering this is my primary source of income, is technically tax evasion and a crime. Like I need to tax that shit. So I tax it, and then it becomes very expensive. But now, or soon, as a corporation, it's so much easier for me to actually hire someone because the corporation would hire them instead of like me giving a person like the other thing. So in the long term, this would make it a lot easier for me to actually like have people help me make my YouTube videos. So, dab, working hard. So that's been happening, and that's the month that has been. Like I've been dealing with that kind of shit, paying taxes, and fighting with that kind of shit. Yeah. But that's what I had to say about the month that's been. So for the rest of the stream, I'm gonna return to chat, and then we're gonna end the stream ish soonish, because we've been streaming for a whole hour. Holy shit. Good job, folks. And I'm not even on my medication today, and I still had energy. Look at that shit. I'm so proud of me. Privatization always seems to suck. Has there ever been a case of it actually work out for the greater good instead of making capitalists rich? So, a good perspective of me being a politician is I get to see privatization happen in like real hard practical terms. Like, should the municipality run, for example, a healthcare company, or should we like outsource this to a private company? Because in practice, it would be like the privatization of a very, very, very small business by doing that kind of stuff. But like, how is that like that a municipality can do? And ideologically, I'm against it. And I'm going to talk a bit more about that in my video for November, about some things that I've learned being a politician. And sometimes, horrifically enough, I will have to say that it can work as a short-term solution. So let's say that the municipality where I work, that I'm part of the council of, let's say that there are 10 people who need a specific type of elder care, but no one in the municipality has that skill set. The municipal healthcare company, for example, maybe is full. Like the people who have the specialties required to take care of those people are full. Like their schedules are full, they can't take on any more patients. And so there are two options. Either you can like outsource those people to a private healthcare company, and then basically like it's not really privatization in that sense of like an entire industry, but like of those 10 people, like their care would be privatized. Or you could hire more people in the municipality that have that type of specialty, which again, ideologically, I would be like, yes, we should do that. It's easier, you know what I mean? But it's just not worth it. It wouldn't be worth it. It would be cheaper for the municipality, for example, to outsource those people to a private healthcare company than to hire like in-house experts. Just because there might not be enough people to justify an expense like that, because hypothetically, maybe the municipality can only work within a certain geographic landscape, whereas a private company can operate across those geographic borders and can make a few measures that are a bit more cost effective. It shouldn't be like that. I think that like municipal healthcare companies probably should be coordinated across municipal borders. But again, because of fucking like anti, what's it called? We have a whole federal department of like that makes sure that municipalities can't compete with private companies, which I think is stupid. Like, I think the municipal company should be given special privileges so it can compete with private companies, despite private companies having a lot more advantages. then municipal companies, especially considering municipal companies have an obligation to give out a certain type of care or duty, which private companies don't have, which means that they should have special privileges to deal with that kind of shit. So I think the privatization is in general really bad, but as a short-term solution, like over a year, it can kind of work. But then the danger comes in, right? Because then that company gets more money and they're going to lobby the federal government to be like, to make it harder for municipal governments to coordinate across municipal borders, so that it becomes always a good short-term solution to outsource to the private company. Take, for example, schools. Schools here in Sweden, I'm rambling so hard right now. This is the thing I'm actually doing at work. I'm having a meeting about this tomorrow morning. Take, for example, schools. So a private school system, private schools and public schools in Sweden have to have the same amount of funding, which is based on the amount of students that they can take on. However, municipal schools have an obligation to teach children, right? If a private school shuts down because it went bankrupt, those students has to be taken on by municipal schools because those kids still needed education, right? So what can happen is sometimes a school can go bankrupt, a bunch of students have to go to a municipal school, and that municipal school will have to pay more money in order for those kids to have the care that they need. Which means that that school might spend more money than they have in their budget. Which means that I, as a municipal councillor, have to say like, I think schools should have more money to take care of the students that they have. But because of fucking privatization law here in Sweden, the way that works is I have to give more money to municipal schools and private schools because they're both compensated the same despite having different underlying conditions about what they need to do. So like on a short-term solution, right, it can be a great way to be like, okay, cool, the municipal school is full, we can't take on more students, let's give these to like a private school so that they can take care and like offload the pressure of the municipal school. And that's great as a short-term solution, but in the long term, that school can go bankrupt and then overload like the municipal school, which we then have to put in more money into, so then that the first school that went bankrupt can demand more money because they feel like they have a right to the money because we gave more money to the municipal school. Anyway, that's me. Fucking hate privatization. It sucks. Okay, I've been rambling for like 6 minutes about privatization. I'm actually compiling a budget for the municipality, and like I have a whole thing about this. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna reach the end of the chat and then we're done for the day because I've been streaming for an hour and I have so much cheese on my cheese platter to eat. This is my plan for the night. Okay. Have you read any Mark Fisher? I think he and David Graeber often cross academic paths despite covering quite different topics. I have occasionally, but I don't think I'm going to use anything for this specific video. But yes, occasionally. Reminds me of when Al Capone learned that the profit margin for milk was higher than beer and said, boys, we've been in the wrong business this whole time. Sounds like the UK. Yes. Is Mia Mulder trademarked? Mia Mulder is not trademarked necessarily, but my company is not named Mia Mulder. My company is named something different. Which, a name that I will not tell you, because I might want to grow it and like do other shit with it than just make Mia Mulder videos. Eventually, but we'll see. It's still a work in progress. So like, I'll probably tell you the name of the company once it's finalized, but it's not trademarked or copyrighted yet. I can't even do that yet. Like I'm not relevant enough for it, which sucks. But because I have because like there's a copyright kind of thing going on, because like it's not trademarked necessarily, but I don't need it to be trademarked, but it is copyrighted by the fact that I've been making videos under that name for like a significant amount of time, so it's by default copyrighted. So if you want to sort of like make Mia Mulder merch, you can't, because I'm Mia Mulder and that's my merch. I don't need to do anything else there. Org chart from Mia's corporation is Spider-Man pointing at himself. Yes. Mia Mulder almost admitting tax fraud. Yes. I've done that so many times. Legally evade taxes by becoming a corporation. But like there's so like the tax rate for me is like so much higher than it would be if I just did work as a corporation, which is stupid. Anyway. I think Mia revealed her power level in planet economy and cybernetics. Quite potentially. We're coming for the rants. Good. Ireland is really awful in unique ways, but hearing about the insane shit continental European countries do make me feel so much better about my little island. Yeah, we're... yeah. Quick thoughts about Israel. Apartheid is bad. Apartheid is bad, and everyone could see this coming from a mile away, except for apparently Mossad. Privatization is a societal cancer. I agree. Something different incorporated. It is actually called. It's not called like because it's not called LLC, but it's called the Swedish version of that because it has to be called that. In Sweden, we call it aktiebolag, which is like stock company, like a company that has stocks. And so, if I were to call it Mia Mulder, like the Mia Mulder company or whatever, it would be called Mia Mulder Aktiebolag or Mia Mulder AB, or the American version would be like Mia Mulder LLC, which is quite funny to me. But yeah, it's like a Swedish company. I know, right? Like, I'll make it international eventually, but it is what it is. But with all of that said, I've had a great time. Sorry for rambling so much and about something completely completely unrelated. But next week, actually, like next week, you will start seeing shots and footage and things from my upcoming video, and my upcoming video is going to be released on October 27th. Like, that is the day it will come out for sure, guaranteed it will be out then. And I'm so excited for you to see it, and I can't wait for you to see it. It's gonna be so fun. It's gonna be so fun to release this like gigantic video for you, because I've been working on it for so long. It's so big. It's gonna be great. I'm really looking forward to it. It's I really hope that you're gonna like it, and yeah. I'm gonna go and play some video games before I have to go to work tomorrow to talk about privatization again in schools. And this has been great. I love y'all. I'm gonna head out, and I will talk to you soon. Hopefully. My next video is going to be a premiere, so I'm hoping to have that done by... I'm hoping to have the video done like at least a few days before the actual deadline, so that I can hype up the premiere, and I hope to see you all there. And with all of that, I'm going to encourage you to go there when that's available. I'm gonna go now, and bye-bye.